We want to welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. To the Hoop Chat. Excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go. I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Oh, man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Hoop Chat. I'm your boy. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Coach Nelly.
And I am Mars, and I'm also one of your co-hosts as well.
We are back, man. We got another exciting episode for you guys. Some good topics to talk about. But first and foremost, bro, how was your week, man? How was your week? I know you were OT.
Yeah, man. I went out to Atlanta. I went down there to go work with some players. Shout out to Jerry Braswell. He played with Tim Duncan that week. He works at Dash Performance down in Atlanta. Got an opportunity to chop it up with him. Just good dude, man, trainer, just kind of talking some business about, how to go about getting the right square footage and things of that nature, flooring and stuff like that. So just trying to get the business right. Also just creating another contact, but most importantly, man, I want to give a huge shout out to Chuck, Sir Charles. A lot of you, and I didn't even know this, just getting the opportunity to sit down and chop it up with my man. A lot of the music that you've heard in the last 3 to 4 years, this man has written a lot of that music. He's up for 3 Grammy nominations. He's got a tremendous opportunity that's presented itself to him through by his work. And, you got an opportunity because we spoke while I was down there and got an opportunity to speak to him. But, man, this kid was a kid that, I've known, for a very long time, and to see where he is from where he started in the backseat of the Avalon, talking about wanting to rap and talking about, him and J.O. And shout out to J.O. too. He's out in Cali doing this production thing as well. But those two sat in the backseat of the car, and Chuck was rhyming and he wanted to become a rapper. That's what he wanted to do. Right. And to see where he is now and to see that all of those things have, created themselves and manifested themselves in different ways. He's a songwriter, not necessarily, an out front artist right now, but he's going to have that opportunity to put himself out there. And in that, it taught me a lot, man. We had this conversation and, as he was telling me about, what made his ultimate decision to go into songwriting and to make songs and to do those different things for different artists, as opposed to constantly pushing himself, was just to remove the ego. You know what I'm saying? And, I threw out to him that I got a tattoo that says "Starve the ego, feed the soul." And I think that's extremely important. And in this instance, it's paid off tremendous dividends, that will give him the leverage, opportunity, and credibility to put himself forefront as an artist as well. So, man, just very proud of him, man. Another guy from where we shout out to Juan, his cousin. You got an opportunity to chill, basically be at their crib and kind of see the day in the life and watch him chop up samples and, watch him field phone calls and take care of business for himself. And it's just a really, really good feeling to see my man, embarking upon such a dream, but such a tremendous opportunity to change his life as well as his family. I want to shout out to his mom and to his aunt for, welcoming me to that immaculate dinner that they presented, what I'm saying, before me, man. And just all the love, man. Shout out to his girlfriend, Lindsay. Just good to see somebody from where you're from and have the same dream, and so to speak, but really chasing it and really making it happen. And, I just wish him all the best, man.
Absolutely, man. That's the little bro right there, man. Super proud of him, and just being able to be one of those people that have witnessed the very beginning.
Right.
The very beginning from the low to where he is now, man. Just big shout out to him
Word.
for the grind, for the hard work he's put in, you know, for trusting the process, man, and never giving up. So big shout out to my little bro,
That's a fact.
Chuck, man. But let's get into it, bro.
Yeah, man. Let's
hop
get right
into it, man. So we'll start off with some NBA topics. You know, the Rockets. So the Rockets, right, hire Stephen Silas.
Yep.
Right. Are we beginning to see a trend now in the NBA with black coaches?
Well, man, you know what? I'm going to say yes. You look at Tyronn Lue now at the Clippers, you know, Stephen Silas now with the Rockets, Doc Rivers at Philadelphia. What's my man's name? Monty Williams at Phoenix.
Right.
JB Bickerstaff.
Right.
We also got my man, Coach Atlanta. What's his name? Dang, his name just slipped my mind. But nevertheless, you know, we are starting to see those guys who have played assistant roles. So I just want to kind of give a little background about Stephen Silas, man. You know, his father, Paul Silas, was an NBA coach as well. And
right.
You know, Stephen Silas had got an opportunity. And people may say nepotism, but listen, man, this dude been grinding since 99. So he's been with his dad on his staff since 99. And as he's bounced around, he's gotten the opportunity to be a part of the LeBron James Cavaliers teams, the Hornets after, you know, post the Bobcats, Charlotte Bobcats. He went on to work with the Golden State Warriors as well. So this is a well-deserved position, and I know many people are not familiar with Stephen Silas, but he is a well-known name amongst players as well as coaches in the league. If you saw once he got hired, a lot of guys, especially you know, James Harden and Russell Westbrook, said that it was well-deserved. And also on the staff, he has the famous John Lucas. So what we're starting to see, and what I believe is going to be the trend in the next 10 years, is a lot of these assistant coaches that have been on staffs for years are going to become head coaches, and they're going to bring in their people to be assistant coaches. And not to say that the league is going to be all black, but we are starting to see an emergence of organizations seriously taking these guys in consideration as black coaches, period. Let me preference that by saying coaches, period. You know, not just because of a quota or affirmative action type of deal or image type of rebrand for the NBA, but really giving quality guys that opportunity to take a head position role and fill out their staffs with people who they feel are complementary to them. So I'm sure Alvin Gentry, you know, he got fired from the New Orleans Pelicans, so I'm pretty sure that he'll pop up somewhere around there as well. But again, to answer your question, I definitely believe that there's a trend that we're going to begin to see in the future.
Absolutely, man. And another thing too with Stephen Silas, he has been working, like you said, with guys like James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kemba Walker, Steph Curry. So he's well respected in the league. You know, and you and I both know with the NBA, it's just a matter of time, especially when you're in and you're working with some of the elites before you get your shot.
Right.
And we talked about it in a couple episodes ago about a guy like Doc Rivers having the ability to have the guys on his staff, putting them in positions of power to be next head coaches, you know, putting them in the position to be in the waiting spot for the right opportunity, you know. So he's definitely well deserving of this. I mean, I feel like anytime you got the elite players putting out tweets on social media like, yo, this guy is valid, then he's valid.
Yeah.
He's valid, you know, and it was just a matter of time for him to get his opportunity, you know, like you said. So big shout out to him, man. I think that's a big hire for the Rockets. Again, kind of along that Steve Nash feel where you got your two best players saying, yo, like kind of this is the guy we want in here to take the steps forward, you know. So good, man. It's a good thing, bro. Like, and like you said, it is not about making the entire NBA about they have to have black coaches, but at the same time, if you look at the demographics of what the NBA is made up of,
81%.
Right? 81%.
81.
Okay. So being coachable, I don't care at what level you're at, NBA, college, high school, having somebody that you're comfortable with that's coaching you, right? And we talked about it before, sometimes players need to look at the head coach and say, he looks like me, right? Because he can relate to some of the things I'm going through that might not even have to do with the sport itself.
Right.
Social,
for sure.
Right. Social issues, things of that nature. So again, big shout out to Stephen Silas and the Houston Rockets. Man, I'm interested to see where they go as I was going to say program, but not a program. They're not a program, but yeah, as an organization, moving forward after losing, D'Antoni and not being able to get past a certain point. I'm interested to see what they do moving forward with the guys that they have and the coaching staff that they're building now.
That brings up an interesting point too, because they got rid of Daryl Morey as well. So
right.
I can anticipate them having a change in style of play, because Daryl Morey was a metrics dude that believed the small ball in the three and believed in D'Antoni's, ideology and theory for shooting threes and scoring the ball in less than 7 seconds and
Right.
basically playing small ball without having an actual center at size, or post presence, right? So
Right.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Do they decide to blow that team up? Free agency is coming soon. A lot of salary cap issues due to the coronavirus. So a lot of teams are going to be looking to make sure that whoever they sign, they stay underneath that luxury cap tax and
Right.
that they're able to fill out a solid roster. So it'll be very interesting to see what Stephen Silas and the rest of his staff decides to do going forward with those two potential Hall of Famers in James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
Absolutely.
So I got a question for you.
Bring it.
We've played, so there is that period of time that as a player, it's like, yo, I need that break away from the sport, right? I need to be able to recalibrate myself, so to speak, right? So with everything looming in terms of being messed up due to the coronavirus, we've heard that the NBA is expecting to start on Christmas Day. Do you believe that the Christmas Day NBA start is too soon for these athletes?
I do and I don't. I'm kind of both sides on this because, listen, all right, we just witnessed the bubble, right? We witnessed for that for 3 months. We watched those teams battle it out in an AAU style type of atmosphere, playing games every other day, something that their bodies aren't used to, even though they do play a grueling 82 game season, and it's more if your team makes the playoffs and even more if you go deep into the playoffs. But if you look at that schedule compared to how the bubble was, especially playoff style, you play 1 or 2 games at home team, then you get travel days to rest and things like that. So this was a little bit different for them on their body in the bubble. So for me, for them to turn around, what is it? We're in October. Well, we're in November. We're in November, but the NBA season just ended at the beginning of October, right?
Correct.
So for them to turn around and say, you basically got 2.5 months to be ready for an NBA season, I think to those guys, it's not fair, especially when their bodies are used to getting 4 to 5 months of rest to prepare and recover, to get ready for a next season. So I think for those guys that were in the bubble, that's going to be – I don't think it's fair to them because you're looking at instances where, like, you're pushing them to the max now, where injuries might start to happen. you might be losing superstars now. And I get that they're trying to push it back because the loss of money, right? Teams are losing money because the arenas aren't open, no fans are coming to the arenas and things of that nature. But you got to protect your assets, man. Like, and what you're going to see is if this is going to happen, right? You're going to see guys starting to take games off. You're going to see guys saying, you know what? Well, I'm not playing. I could see a guy like LeBron James being like, well, listen, man, I might not play beginning of the season, right? My body's still recuperating, you know. The flip side of that is, right, what about the teams that have been out and weren't in the bubble? And they've been out for 9 months now. They ain't play, right? They haven't been getting that same type of putting that same type of pressure, I should say, on their bodies, right? I'm pretty sure those guys been working out, but ain't nothing like playing in the game. You and I both know that being athletes, that sometimes when you get done playing games, you just like, my body's hurting. I'm done. I've given everything I've got, and especially when you've done that over a long period of time. So those guys that haven't been in the bubble, you know, they're at a point where they're probably like, yo, I'm trying to get back to playing. So let's get this going Christmas Day then, if that's what it is. So that's why I stand on it. It's like I get it, but it's not fair. Like it's not. It's kind of hard to be fair and equal to everybody in this instance because of, you know, the parity between who played and who didn't in the bubble. So I think they should wait till January. That's my opinion. Let's push it back to January, the new year. That gives their bodies a couple more months to a month and a half more to recover, and then we could talk about playing the NBA season and maybe even playing a shorter NBA season. You know, it don't have to be 82 games. You know, it could be shorter. Maybe in the 70, 60 area, and then you move on from there. So that's my stance, bro. What you feel about it?
For me, man, I'm gonna go with you should give these guys rest, man, because there are going to be players that are going to play, and they're going to be players in particular like Jamal Murray, you know, what's my man's name? Donovan Mitchell. These guys who are younger players and still feel like they have a lot to prove. But what younger players don't take into account is the stress that's placed upon your body and what's needed. So what I tend to believe is you're going to see a higher frequency of injury in the NBA if they start Christmas Day, and particularly from those teams that were comprised in the bubble. However, those teams that were out of the bubble, listen, not everybody's working out. Keep it real with you. Not everybody's working out. There's a lot of dudes who sitting around who just kind of waiting to see what happens. And what I mean working out, I don't mean going to the gym and getting shots up. They may be doing that, but they're not preparing themselves because they have no idea when the season is going to start. And that's a lazy mentality to have. However, when you're training, you can't maintain an optimal level for a substantial amount of time. So if my season was over due to the coronavirus, I didn't get invited to the bubble, and I start going crazy hard training, there's no way that I'm going to be able to maintain that, even if the season started Christmas Day, right? There's going to be some tail off. So if many people don't understand the phases of what these athletes go through to prepare themselves to perform. Now, a shortened season doesn't bother anybody because at the end of the day, let's be honest, basketball enthusiasts that are global are going to watch whenever it's put on. They don't care. I mean, one of the biggest things that I witnessed within the bubble was even my adjustment to watching NBA games in the afternoons, right? Like almost being like, you know, all right, yo, they play at 4:30. All right, cool. I'm watching the game. And it was almost, you know, for me, it was very, very dope because I had to wait up till 10:30 to watch my Lake show play, right? So a lot of people who live on the East Coast who are Laker fans like myself and you, it'd be difficult, man. It'd be difficult to get through muscle through a doubleheader. You might watch the 8 o'clock game and get to maybe 11, and it's looking at you. You feel me? So it's like, it was a good thing to be able to get a full game and be done by 10 or 9 or 30. It's like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? But it was good. So I think that the NBPA should always, act as a governing body for and protecting the athletes first, because the athletes are the commodity. And at any given time as a business, you're going to put that in, you got to put that to the forefront. You got to make sure that these players are healthy, that they're getting what necessary treatments are being provided to them. We can't just think about dollars and cents. You know what I mean? Because the reality of it is no one's coming to come see the Lakers. No one's coming to come see the Warriors. No one's coming to come see the Nets if their superstars are injured and not playing.
Right.
So you're shooting yourself in the foot in either way. Right. Until they make a decision on what's going to happen with fans and spectators, I don't think there should be a rush to come back. Because at the end of the day, you want to make money off your concessions, but we have to figure out what they're going to do with our population due to this coronavirus, and how we're going to mandate people being spectators and cheering and maintaining 6 feet of distance. Like, are you only going to sell to those ticket holders who have rows closest to the floor, and those people who do not, or they don't get an opportunity to come watch? I mean, how do you decide to do that? And then where's the revenue in that? So it's a lot to talk about, but I'm going to go ahead and say, no, they should not start anytime soon.
Right. I mean, just with that too, bro, it's like, you ain't going to be having fans in your arenas at this point anyway. What? You're going to have a couple hundred, maybe 1,000, 1,200 at the most, And like you said, who gets priority to those seats? So it's like you're rushing back to play kind of for what,
Well, because the NBA is rushing back for that money. They want that bread. They want that concession. They want that apparel sales. They want that. That's what they want.
Right. But at a time where everything is unknown, because we're heading, according to CDC and those people, we're heading with the numbers going up. We might be shut down again. Right. They might consider shutting us down. So it's like you rushing to do that with the uncertainty of what's happening in the future. It's just like, you don't know. So, you don't have to rush. Why don't you wait, feel things out and see? Again, protecting your athletes, letting them let their bodies get rest, because even if you do go back to play in the arena, you're still taking a loss financially. Right? You ain't gonna sell the same type of concessions and things that you were. And then it's like you just said, what if my star player gets hurt, or what if my star player is like, nah, I'm not playing a certain amount of games? You're losing money because of that. Right. So just they need to take their time with this, man. Like, formulate a better plan, have multiple plans ready to move forward, depending on what happens in the next couple of months. Because you and I both know, as it gets colder, that we're heading into flu season. This is the time when people get sick. So I think you kind of got to wait and see how things start to play out, and then you can say, let's meet again at Christmas Day or that time, and then let's see where we're at now, and then we can move forward with a plan to possibly have a season, or maybe not have a season. Maybe we do another bubble or something like that. You know what I mean? So,
and on top of that, if that is to happen and these things are proposed, can we not, for those athletes that go against whatever LeBron says, can we not castrate them in the media because they don't agree with what LeBron thinks the NBA should do? Because I'm almost certain that that's what's going to happen, because it happened about the bubble. Should we go into the bubble? You had a consensus of players that was like, nah, we shouldn't. And then LeBron's like, we should. And then everyone else who goes against what LeBron is saying is automatically an idiot. They don't know what they're talking about. It's this, that, and the third. And to me, it's one of those things where it's like, man, listen, let's get a group, let's make it a group decision. And as a spectator and as an enthusiast, man, I don't care when they start, I'm gonna be locked in.
Right. Absolutely.
What we got here?
So what made you, right? Still staying on our NBA topic, but starting to get into the intricacies and details of the game now. What made you stop watching the basketball, right, for entertainment, and start using it as study material and guides to break down to help you?
I would say that started probably my senior going into my freshman year of college. It obviously got emphasized more once I got to college, primarily because I was ass. I was making certain decisions, and you know what I'm saying? And you
Right.
getting critiqued, but you don't really understand where the criticisms is coming from. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you experienced this. I mean, when I got to college, we watching film session and coach is roasting me. It's me he roasting, right? And when you keep hitting the rewind button and you keep going in, and it's no real justification. When there's no film, you could be like, yo, but coach, but I saw da da da, or I was doing da da da. But when you watch film, it is the truth. It's the truth serum. It's like, yo, I don't care what you was doing. Look what happened, and look as to why that was a bad situation or a bad decision, right? So one of the biggest things that I had to learn was shot selection, right? Because I always believed if I'm gonna shoot the basketball, I took accountability for making and missing. So I never thought when I shot the ball I was going to miss. But even when those shots would go in, you would still get criticized. I'm like, yo, what are you talking about? And it's like, it's a bad shot, Lamar. Well, why is it a bad shot? You can only discover those things in film, right? You can only discover rotations defensively. If you're on the offensive end, you can only understand rotations defensively from the opposing team if you're watching film. Conversely, on the flip side, for many of the teams that I played for, we played man-to-man. So being out of position is one of those things that you recognize immediately on film. Moving five as a string and being able to help and recover. Those different things, those different aspects are highlighted in a film session. So what began to happen for me is it started to translate into what I was watching, because I was so heavy in watching the NBA that it became those different uses of terminology, straight line drives, or, rim protection, or, helping and covering down, and, giving multiple efforts. Those different words started to become a lot more understandable to me. So it changed my overall outlook to basketball. I started to look at it from a strategic point of view, okay, I see why this was a good shot. I see why this was a bad shot. Yo, he's great because he makes great decisions in this situation. Or, it was a great defensive adjustment that coach decided to make, to go from this to that, sending double teams, noticing players' weaknesses based upon what defenses were doing strategically to them. That was something that you watched throughout the course of the game. And obviously, as years went on, it went deeper. I went deeper into it. It was like, it's like a you go into that black hole, that rabbit hole, and then you just start finding out all these different keys and secrets. And it just ultimately became a visual study film session virtually every game that I watched.
Right, man. And I think for me too, it's like at the same point when I got to college, like when I was, let's just say, in high school, and we used to watch film in high school. Watching film was putting the game on TV and just literally watching it.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm still looking, and listen, I deal with it now with younger kids. Like, you have to like reel them in on what they're supposed to be paying attention to, because they see oh, you see he got crossed, or like, you know what I mean? Yeah. They're looking at it from an entertainment value.
Absolutely.
They don't see, that's not what we're supposed to be paying attention to, and it wasn't, for me, it wasn't until I got to college, playing for Coach Ferry, where I'm like, it's the same thing like you said. Like, you get into film session and it's like, coach is roasting you, roasting you. And guess what? You can't laugh. You can't laugh. You got to be as serious and like focus on what he's talking about. And, listen, man, I've had coach rip me in.
And not in your feelings.
And you can't be in your feelings. And meanwhile, your teammates might be snickering behind you, because it is. And if you look back, it's funny. Like, coach is constantly, like, coach would rewind, stare at me, rewind, stare at me, rewind, stare at me, and then go into his spiel. You know what I mean? And it's like, but you learn from that. You learn to say, okay, I get what you're talking about, Coach. I get why this isn't a good shot. I get why this play didn't work because I messed up, or I didn't take my man deep enough to get open, or I ain't set the screen the right way, or as you get into the season and you get now into the details after you've played teams a couple times and you got to change things up and switch to how you're being played now. It's like, yo, we got to switch the screen this way. Look what happens. Like, film to me is the best tool, one of the best tools you could have as a player, as a coach, as a basketball personnel, because like you said, it's like true serum. It doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
It don't lie, right? And that's one of my favorite things to do when players be like, man, nah, I was open, coach. I don't know what you talking about. Yeah. You was what? Oh, you did what?
Right.
Oh, and then film don't lie, and it's learning to, like you said, take your ego out of it and watch from a student perspective. I want to get better. I want to know why I'm not making shots. I want to know why I couldn't get the pass through. I want to know why I wasn't able to attack, and if you watch, you will learn. If you're really watching film to get better, you will learn. You will pick up on things, and you can even get more detail with it. We hear of guys like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, guys, the elite, watching film just to watch their opposing team, right? Watching who their guard, picking up on tendencies. You hear, we talked about it last week, hearing stories of LeBron James being able to tell an opposing team, yo, this is the play y'all running, and he's gonna get the ball. And I was just watching what's his name? Shumpert. He did it in an interview with Vlad TV, right?
Yeah.
I just watched it yesterday, and he was talking about LeBron James, and they were actually talking about the two different leadership styles between LeBron and Carmelo, right? But when he got to talking about LeBron, this is what he was talking about. LeBron's IQ, his ability to watch film and being able to control the whole narrative because of the information he was able to retain and study from film, right? Knowing, well, listen, if I get the ball here, he was telling something, yo, if he cut and if he follow behind you, I got you. And yelling these things out in the game, yo, Kevin Love, go corner. If he help, you're going to be wide open. But it's because he studied film and he knows what the other team's going to do, knowing the positions that they're in, what they're about to do. And now he can control and move pieces. So for me, when I hit that college level, and I knew at that point, I wanted to continue to grow in my game and take it as far as I can, film became a huge part of my regimen, right? And you can even say training regimen, that became a part of it, and even now to this day as a coach, it's a huge part,
Right.
Because it's no longer getting out on the floor for me to being able to play and do those things. So I have to be able to even be a little bit more sharp, because what I break down and study, I have to now relay that message to players. So it is a huge, huge part, man, of the game for you younger players out there. And I know it's hard when you're younger, but start to stop looking at the game from entertainment value. Stop looking at all the oohs and ahs and start looking at the whys and why nots.
Right. No doubt, man. No doubt. I remember being in a film session and being questioned, right? Before it even start, before he is talking about me, he may ask all right, so in a press situation, what are we supposed to do? When are we supposed to trap? Right. And I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to trap off the second pass. Okay, cool. Press play. Where I go. As soon as the ball inbounded, I'm going to go. And they throw it right back. Well, so you know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn. It's like, yo,
yeah.
What can you say? You can't say that. You can't say what I thought. It's like, yo, you just said what you thought, which was the correct thing, but what's your action follow? And some of the things that, some of the coaches were big on was body language. They would film and watching guys come off the court. And watching the reaction to someone coming in or going out and making sure that it was a point of emphasis that you don't show that type of body language no matter what. And that prepares you to become a professional, because if many people
Right.
watch professionals, they don't really have too much body language when they come out of the game. And if they do have that body language, it's one that could be understood.
Right.
You know, I might have had picked up a bad foul, and it's not a negative. Damn. It's like, I know I got to go sit on the bench now. I'm going to be hurting my team by sitting on the bench. I shouldn't have made that mistake, right?
Right.
You know, and these are the types of things that, you know, just, you know, like you said, to young players, making sure that you don't get – many of you will never be LeBron James, all right? So, like, the dunks and, you know, many of you will never handle like Kyrie Irving. So the handle and breaking people's ankles, why don't you look at what transpires defensively, you know, or how does that happen? How does that occur? Don't get enamored with the moves. Look at the pieces that are defending. Are they defending their man or are they defending the ball? These different things are very important to you understanding and ultimately giving yourself an opportunity to continue to play. I mean, I think that is something that's very understated in the game of basketball is your IQ and your ability to understand the game and where that puts you in relation to a guy who has all the talent but no IQ.
Right. Right. Just a quick story too, like being in those situations where you know, you're in film and coach, like you said, poses a question and then he goes to the film. So we're playing Queens College, right? And Queens College had this kid. I do not remember his name, but he was a super athlete, super athlete. Like one of them dudes. Like if he jumped, do not jump, because you will be on this kid's poster, right? So, coach is telling us the whole scouting report was do not front the post because they were good at catching you when you were sleeping on rotation to the weak side, and they would lob it over this kid, and now it's the guy rotating from weak side to get to the paint, and he's got the ball. You already know what that's leading to. You're getting posterized. So we had a freshman at the time, and I ain't putting nobody's names out there. I'm not going to do that. But we had a freshman at the time, right? And he got in the game, right? And what he do?
Front the post?
He front the post. Right. But the funny part about it was, wow, like you could kind of tell he realized like, I'm not supposed to be doing this right now. So he's trying to fight to get back around. Right. So the guy catches the ball and the player is trying to like work his way back in front, which he did. But by the time he got back in front, dude caught the ball and went straight up. Right. So he's thinking like he's going to shoot it, but he kind of like gets in front and starts to like kind of try to box him out. Well, the kid wasn't shooting it. He was going to the rim. So next thing you know, boom. And he like wrapped his legs around boy. And he's on his back. Right? And so the next day in film session, right? And like, see, when things like this happen, you know what's coming the next day. You know what's coming in film section. So we get the film and coach, same thing. So he's like, yeah, so, you know, on the scouting report, we talked about, you know, not fronting the post. So what happened here? And he plays it. And he don't say anything. He rewinds it. He rewinded it like 3-4 times. Didn't say one word. Now, mind you, the rest of us, like, we're like this, you know, like guys are like trying not to let the laugh out, right? And you can't laugh. You can't laugh because at that moment, and you and I both know, coaches know what they're doing. They know what they're doing at that point, right? Yeah. You can't laugh. They want you to laugh so they can be like, oh, it's funny. We getting on this line and run. But you know, that was one of them instances where it was like, you didn't listen to the scouting report, and it ended up you getting a poster on, and you're gonna see it the next day in film.
For sure.
Yeah, it might be funny at the moment, but then it's also a teaching point, you know, and being on good teams, like those moments are important, no matter how embarrassing or, you know, whatever the case may be. But
that's a fact.
That was a funny story, man.
Right.
Just continuing on this, bro. How does watching basketball improve your IQ and skill set?
Well, number one, I think one of the things that hold up real quick. I think one of the things that is important when you're watching, in terms of your IQ, is listening to the commentators. I think that there are some really great commentators that really can curate what's transpiring in front of you, and they use certain terminology that is widely used, right? So I think one of the things that helped me improve my IQ in terms of decision making was watching great point guards make certain plays where you look at someone, and I mean, I can go down the list. So I'm just throwing this name out there. But if you look at somebody like a Chauncey Billups, um, and you look at how he's not the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, the most athletic, but he always seemingly makes the right play all the time. Like, it's all the time. Like, when he's passing the ball, it's in their wheelhouse. When he's coming over a screen, he's very under control in his pace, and being able to know at what point to use his strength, to use his body to finish at the rim, right? Knowing how to probe and create shots for a Ben Wallace or for Rasheed Wallace, and then being able to insert himself in a situation in which he can play off the basketball, entering the ball into a Tayshaun Prince or a Rip Hamilton, and now coming off that triple screen on the baseline like Rip Hamilton would. So IQ-wise, one of the biggest things that I took from Chauncey Billups was always controlling the tempo and pace of the game. He would never allow for you to speed him up. He would never allow you to speed him up. He's going to make you run into screens. He's going to – early in the game, he's going to get all his guys involved. He's going to get the shots for those guys. And then ultimately, when the rubber meets the road, he got his name for a reason. He was always ready to knock down timely big shots and putting himself in position to do it. But he never did too much. Like, Chauncey Billups ain't over-dribbled the basketball. Like, he didn't try to break people down. It was very simple, and it was a cerebral way of playing the game. So watching him had helped me improve my ability to read defenses, to recognize mismatches, to be communicative enough to my team. Whereas if, for example, me and you are playing and you got it going and there's somebody in your space or your area, I want you to isolate yourself and keep going, right? So being able to communicate that verbally to my team to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Another thing that it improved ultimately was my skill set, because I understood where to get shots from. The mid-range pull-up jump shot, which is crazily underused at this, in this climate right now. Everybody wants to shoot logo threes or put their head on at the top of the rim. But, the mid-range jump shot, that one dribble pull-up, one of the things that I was a very good shooter, and I could finish at the rim, but my mid-range jump shot was not something that I was really good at doing until I got to college, and I started to understand that all I got to do is beat you one step, you know what I mean, and put the ball down 1-2, and then I'm into my shot before defensive rotation could come. So knowing that I have a certain skill, being able to watch the game and watch guys like Kobe Bryant and watch guys like Rip Hamilton and watch guys like Paul Pierce work out of the mid-range area, watching these guys get a minimal separation and get into their shot before a second defender could come or before rotation could come was something that was really, really pivotal in me understanding how to apply my skill set to the game and to what I was facing, defensively night to night.
Right. And I'm gonna keep it short on this because you pretty much hit the points. But I just remember, me being a shooter, just vividly watching Reggie Miller. And the one thing that I was able to pick up on him was how he used to set people up to come off screens. And he was very, very good at changing his pace, using those screens. Slow to fast, fast to slow, stopping, getting the defender to stop so he could speed up and come off screens. And I learned a lot by watching that and then being able to apply that. And this was when I was in high school. It used to be like, how's he get open? I want to know, you know what I mean? And, really not understanding the whole breakdown of the whole what we just talked about film. It was just watching a player and saying like, how's he get open? I want to know how to do that because I feel like I shoot the ball really well. So if I know if I can get open, I could knock some shots down. You know, so you know that was for me like watching and applying, right? And then again, just what we talked about before. Even when you're at the level where you're having coaches break down for you, you have to, as a player now, take what you have learned and take that to the court. Right. You have to work on it. You know, there's things that you could watch on film. Okay, I get it. You just can't apply it. You got to go work on it.
Right.
So, you know, it's just it's an important skill to have in your game. The ability to watch, learn, and then apply.
No doubt. No doubt. I agree wholeheartedly with that, man. So I got a question for you because, you know, I don't have the extensive coaching, resume that you have, but I'm always intrigued by this because I've experienced it to some degree as a trainer, but more so, I know that coaches experience this. So, what are, three things that you could offer to coaches when your team isn't responding to your voice?
Good question.
I'm sure there's many, but I just want you to pick three.
Right. And I mean, I feel at some point in the season you're going to hit this point, right? But I really dealt with this a lot last year. Just not having one of my better seasons due to just the players that I had, or whatever the case may be. But for me as a coach, you have to you got to reevaluate. You got to take a step back and reevaluate everything that you've been saying and telling, and then be like, all right, why isn't this resonating with them? All right, during that reevaluation, it's like, all right, man, maybe it's just personnel, maybe it's their characters, maybe this worked last year, but this ain't gonna work this year. So you have to have that step back process, right? I know one of the things that I like to do as a coach. Again, you're going to hit these moments where your players too, and it's also this, your players are going to be tired or not responding to you, but you're going to get tired of repeating yourself too. Mm-hmm. Like, why isn't this getting through? Like, here's the message. I know my message is on point. Why are you not taking it? So you have to find another outlet to get that message to. For me, it'll be maybe having past players that were successful in my program or played for me that were successful to come back, and they can say the same message in their own way, right? They could tell players, however they want to get the message across. And I found that to work. I found that when you bring in the success stories, right? And yeah, kids might know you're successful as a coach, but it's just like any relationship. When you're with somebody every single day and you're talking about the same things every single day, at some point, one of you is going to get on each other's nerves, right? So when you bring in a change and you bring in new blood, now kids are a little bit more attentive to listening. Maybe that person might be able to say the same message in a different way and it sticks to that particular group, So, for you coaches out there, you're going to hit this point where, the kids might not be responding. First, like I said, reevaluate, take a step back, just look at everything. Second, maybe find a different way to get your message across by bringing someone in to talk. Another good way is to take a step away from basketball, right? Do some team bonding things, right? You can reiterate your points of basketball because for me, those points given, right, we're not talking about the layups and the things like that. Like, you're talking about points that they can take away and they could factor into life skills, to their life. So maybe taking a step away from the game and doing something that has nothing to do with the sport, You know, I don't know what that is. Go paintballing or go do something where it's just like, yo, we can laugh and have a good time, and maybe that can carry on to being successful on the court. You know, let's just get away from the sport. Let's forget about running suicides and forgetting about watching film, and let's just have fun. Let's
Word.
have fun. Let's be human beings. Let's learn to like and love each other from a different perspective. Forget the athletic perspective. Um, so those are some things that you can do. Um, you can also, as a coach, like find different ways. Maybe just not saying your message. I don't know. Look up some quotes. Maybe watching some clips of some film that give a positive message. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you this: there's no specific right or wrong answer to what you can do. It is just a matter of the biggest step is reevaluating. If you could take a step back, you can find different ways to reapproach. I think that's huge, you know. So, hey, man, those are some things that I do, you know, as a coach. Because again, last year I was in a situation where um, we were good, but we could have been a lot better. And I hit those points last year when it was just like I felt, and that's another thing as coaches, you'll feel like, yo, these kids are starting to tune out, right?
They're not feeling this. They're not feeling this.
They're not feeling it, right?
Yeah.
You're not feeling it, right? And it's just like, all right, if you can pick up on those moments, you can find a way to make change to those moments, and that you don't can keep having them, and you aren't keep saying the same things.
Right.
You know, because I've been in situations where it's just like, yo, I'm repeating myself, and I'm looking at them like, they ain't listening to me. In my head, I'm like, they ain't listening to what I'm saying. And you think like, yo, I got this great spiel, this great. They're not listening to you,
Right.
you know, and it's just falling upon deaf ears. So you just, you know, you can't be sane. It's like with anything that you do, you got to keep adapting and
Right.
keep changing and keep molding. Because especially on the high school level, as we keep changing generations, I've seen kids change of how they take information, receive, how they, you know, react to being, you know, criticized and things like that, you know, especially because now we're in this huge social media world. Like, so you just got to keep adapting and changing, and you're always going to have to reevaluate what you're doing. So.
Man, I think that's great, man. I think all those points are really good points. I think that you know that aspect is extremely important for coaches to reevaluate things, not think that they're a guru, not think that it's just the kids, you know, and take a step back and offer some change of pace for your team. I think that that's extremely important because it does get mundane after a while, and it gets mundane for coaches too, man. To come to practice every day and this is what we're doing, and you know, and sometimes that boredom in and of itself is the reason why they're not paying any attention to you. It could be, you know, simply like you said, coming to practice one day and just saying, you know what, we're gonna play football, two-hand touch football, and and just that change, you know, in and of itself. Number one, I think that it shows your kids that you're a human being and you get it too, right?
Right.
I think it shows a deeper connection and offerings of connection to your team, to your players.
Right.
I think that it also opens itself to players becoming a little bit more communicative as to what they're dealing in. You know, it could be in these types of things can be simple, man. It could be simple, like a misunderstanding between two teammates could ultimately create this dissension, you know, or you know, just maybe there is one guy who doesn't understand why coach did this and it's not all the way bought in. And you know, like I know, if you have one guy who's not bought in, you might as well start either getting rid of that kid or trying to reel him in, because it's not going to be long before he starts, you know, permeating amongst the team, you know, so to speak. So I think that those are great things. I'm a couple that with another question, man. You know, how?
Hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, bro. I just while you were talking, it like made me think of some things too. Like also, two things. Like reach out to other coaches. Like reach out to your network and listen, coach. Listen, man. I'm hitting this point where these kids ain't listening to what I'm saying. Like my mess. And listen, every coach has dealt with it. So they'll be able to give you some pointers that might help you. It might not, but it might be able to click different light switches on in your head. I didn't think of that. Thank you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And my next thing was, and this is when we coached together at Cedar, like I specifically, and I will always remember this. I remember a point in the season, like we hit a point where we were like hitting that wall. And you remember, like, we sat down and talked to them. And we like kind of apologized to them. Like, listen, we're sorry that we keep pushing and pushing and pushing and not listening and hearing what you guys have to say.
Right.
Right. Maybe you're not understanding something. Where's the disconnect at? What are you feeling? And for me, you know, especially being first year head coach, you know, I felt for us that was kind of a turning point because it was, again, the players got to see like, damn, our coaches are human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't coming from a place of authority and power, like you got to do this, you got to do these things to be. It was like, no, we're sorry. What do you guys think?
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think for us, that hit a point where it was like, it was a reset button. Let's get locked in again, and let's make a push to see how, you know, the best team that we could be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, like I said, that you know, as I was thinking about it, you know, it brought up another question, and about you in particular. You know, how have those decisions, you know, ultimately impacted your team's success? And when I say that, I don't mean that your team has to win championships to be successful. We do want that.
Right.
We all want that. But, you know,
right.
in your particular position and situation, you know, being at a public school is not an excuse, not to win, but we also understand what you're competing against, right? And with that being said, we kind of change what the idea of success is, right? Because people ultimately are going to say, you know, you got to win to be successful. Successful is judged by 20-some wins a year, right? When, you know, success could be merely that, you know what, from that point that I made these different adjustments, I've seen my team start to galvanize themselves, and we're not losing games by 20 points. We may only lose games by 7 points, 2 possession, 3 possession games, you know, and that to me is a success because that's a turning point and ultimately getting your kids and getting a program in the right direction. And now everybody is moving forward. Now I can start to refocus on coaching my team so that in these situations we could be victorious.
Right. I mean, again, I told you I've hit those points where it's like, yo, I gotta find some other way to reach these kids. And when you get to those points, and it hasn't been every year, you know, but when you get to those points, it's like you can see it's almost like you're hitting a reset button. It's like, all right, we're at this point now. Let's get refreshed. Let's get refocused. And like last year, man, like, listen, we weren't that good on paper, talent-wise. But having a team, and, you know, we won 5 games last year. And but we only got blown out 3 games. 3 games out of a 25-game season, 26-game season, I think it was. We were in every game, like you just said, 5 points, 7 points. A shot goes here, game's different. You know, couple free throws here, not turning the ball over here, and now we're looking at wins and not losses. But, you know, especially in seasons like that, last year I had multiple points where I had to refresh, reevaluate, take a step back. All right, let's break the season down into fourths. All right, well, the first fourth of the season, all right, we did A, B, and C. Let's take a step back. Let's breathe. All right, let's move forward to the next section. You know what I mean? And I learned how to handle last year's team like that. And again, by the end of the year, I was playing with younger kids, right? Freshmen and sophomore, but because those moments happened, it allowed those freshmen and sophomore to lock in even better and understand the process better and understand, like, you know, well, unfortunately, if they're not understanding, the kids in front of me are not understanding, I'm understanding what coach means. I understand what coach wants. So because we had these break moments, I understand now. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give 110%. I'll make mistakes, but they're aggressive mistakes. I'm not going to say anything back to you. You know what I mean? So it will help you be successful, man. And just, and I don't think, and maybe there are the coaches that do this. I'm pretty sure there are. Just go through the season, and it's the same from the beginning to the end. Like, to me, that just doesn't work because you're going to hit so many different obstacles and barriers that you're going to have to deal with throughout a season that you have to switch up.
Agreed.
You have to switch up. You have to have, the ability to adapt and, break down and say, well, you have to have those moments of like, yo, this just doesn't work.
Right.
Well, me and you talk about this all the time from the training aspect. You do something with a player and you're like, nah, that just didn't work. It didn't work. I gotta reevaluate because, they're not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I gotta do something different. So, like, yeah, man, it will help your success. I mean, even for building a culture. Example, last year, again, wasn't a great year, and I didn't have a designated captain until almost halfway through the year. Right? I didn't pick a captain. It was whoever every game I point somebody new, go talk to the referees, right? It wasn't until half the year where I see a kid. He's a great athlete. I mean, he's a great student, right? Does all the right things, works hard, gives 110%, asks questions. Coach, what do you need from me? Coach, I'm not understanding. Can you take time to break this down to me separate? Like one of those kids. And I watched at the moment I named this kid captain, the reactions from other kids. Well, why is he captain? He ain't the best basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard, oh, he missed that layup. This your captain missing layups.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, again, having those moments and be like, listen, you might not understand why I'm doing this thing. It's a culture thing. It's a culture thing because this is who I want at the forefront of my program. A kid that does all the right things. And now from that moment, I've watched that kid embrace and grow. Like, coach has the confidence in me, right? To tell me I'm the captain, right? I watched him be timid with it and look around and wait for people to say things. And to a point now, it's like, you don't have to wait. He doesn't wait for anybody to say something. And now I look at the respect that he gets from other players, right? I look at the younger guys, perfect example yesterday. In the fall league game, I hear my younger kids before the game starts telling, and this has been this group, and I've talked about this group. Say this to each other, we gotta give everything we got. We're not letting Easy go out like this on his senior year. So I'm listening to this and I'm watching, and I'm like, they've bought into what he's been saying, right? They respect him. It don't got nothing to do with basketball. They respect him because he gives 110%. He's that kid in the classroom, and they respect that, So it's just having those moments where it's just like, you know what? Yep, this is the move I'm going to make for the program, for the culture, or this is the move I'm going to make to be successful as a coach.
So, man, there's a lot of gems in there, man, for a lot of, younger coaches and even some of y'all old fogies, that could really, hit that reset button on yourselves and pick up some of those things from you. But I want to switch gears a little bit, man. We are at November 1st, man. So, what's about to hit, man, with this election day coming, and the country is in mass hysteria, kind of just virtually split. Some of it split on race, some of it split on policy, economics, big pharma, so, with this election, days away for us, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Phew. Man, I just think, man, I have this thought every day, bro. It's just like, I just pray for our country because, I mean, to me, our candidates the candidates that we have in front of us to run our country ain't the best. And I'm constantly worried and praying for what the world and America will look like for my daughter, for my kid,
Word.
So like you said, man, we're at a point in this world that we live in where there's a lot of racial tension, a lot of social tension. There's a lot of hate, a lot of evil, a lot of negative that's being put around this election. You know what I mean? Forcing people kind of to choose sides. That's what it's coming down. You're on this side or you're on that side. Bottom line.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's scary. Like, and I don't think there's no. It's like, you want Trump out? Okay. I don't agree that Joe's the best option that we have. It's our only option that we have, right now. But and it's like he's done things in his past where it's like, he ain't not the best candidate to help us move forward either, So it's just like, again, like you got to pray. One, like the second thing is too, like, and we talk about this all the time. Like, we got to come together as a people. I know one of the things that we wanted to talk about was the whole Ice Cube thing and him going to talk with both sides.
That's coming.
Right. But but what I was getting to is like his whole thing is coming together as people. Right. We gotta come together and find a way to, because if not, we are going to continue down this path. If you follow American history, like, we are right to what we do, right? And bad candidate, you get another not so bad candidate, but he's still a bad candidate. And then you get another candidate, he's not a bad candidate compared to them, but he's a bad candidate, really. You know what I mean? And then if you watch through history, it's the same thing. It's the same battle that's been going on for, I don't even know how many years. I can't tell you off the top of my head, since the presidency he's been in, right? So, I don't know, man. It's just really scary, to be honest with you. Like, and for me, like, being a parent, that's what I think about. Right. I think about, like, what kind of world is my daughter, or my children going to have to grow up in, and.
For sure. For me,
give me some thoughts, brother.
I'm not a big presidential election person, period. I
right.
In my own, thoughts and feelings, I just don't feel like there has been a president that has impacted my life directly. Now, when we start talking about governors, we start talking about freeholders, we start talking about assemblymen, we start talking about those individuals who are directly, spearheading and leading the community at which I live, then yes, I do believe, because they will ultimately impact the world that I live in currently, right? I don't feel personally that the American people should ever have to choose the lesser of the two evils. I don't believe that there should be evil in candidacy. I believe that if the power is within the people, then the people should be able to elect who they believe should run to represent this particular party. It should not be Congress saying, Joe, it's your turn now. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't even have to do with your affiliation. And that's something that I feel personally as an American, that I've always been confused about. Like, what is the actual credential? Because I'm going to be honest with you, how much do I have in common with, and this is no disrespect to white people, or white men, what do I have in common with the 77-year-old white man? I don't have too much in common with that person, especially an elitist at that, because I don't come from that, right? Economically, I'm not in that top 1%. So I have no idea. My life is nothing like that individual. And I would like to see, and this is for the majority of Americans, I would like to see, a younger candidate, number one. I would like to see a plethora of candidates that are being chosen by the American people, almost like, 5 or 6 people should be able to be in this presidential process. It shouldn't come down to the two biggest parties, being the Democrats and the Republicans, to decide who's going to be a candidate. Now, I recognize that there's other parties out there, but you and I both know that those parties are not the parties that are going to be seriously taken into consideration for candidacy for the president. However, I do believe in the future, this is a part of us dismantling this insulated system that allows for the bureaucracy to be between just Democrats and Republicans. And you got to pick this candidate or pick that candidate. And, it's all about this vote. And I'm like, I'm with it. I understand exercising your right as an American and voting. And please don't get this twisted. I am not telling anybody, I'm not telling anybody not to vote. I'm not telling anybody to vote. I'm telling people to do what they feel is best for themselves. And if they feel as though being a part of the political process and voting is, important to them, have at it. If you don't feel like it's important to you, you have two ways that you can look at it. You can justify it by whatever you want, but whatever transpires, you cannot be, this person shouldn't be in, this person, because you didn't at least exercise that right in making that decision. So I don't think that you can have it both ways. But in my estimation, man, in my real recesses and thoughts, it's really about doing for self. It's really about not sitting here and wanting and wishing and hoping that these people hear what it is that you would like to hear, to see as change. But you yourself, if you are the power, then why don't we take a real strong look at the area and community at which we are living in and think, what is it that I can do immediately right now? Regardless, what can I be doing to help impact my community? It's not hard, man, to get a not-for-profit organization. It's not hard, man, to walk into local businesses and talk to local businesses about what it is that they're experiencing as a business and almost commanding them, because we talk about this in the Black community often, that, you got, no disrespect, but you got Arabs, you got Asians, you have these different, immigrant folk that are having businesses within our community, but that money never comes back into the community. How come we haven't, as those people that live in these communities, gone to them and say, yo, look, man, you got to kick back to the community. You got to sponsor some youth events. You got to sponsor some events that are based around financial literacy, in which, you are reliant upon our patronage for your business. So you should be giving back to that community as well and compelling them to do that. These are things that the president has no say on, right? The president is about macro, man. And that's the biggest problem that I have. Until this man says, yo, look, you know what affects me? Police brutality. Until he says, listen, every cop that decides to use these excessive forces that result in, whether that person had did a crime or not, if it results in that criminal dislocating, breaking, death, you're going to lose your job. And if you breaking arms and these different things to apprehend suspects that really didn't do anything, and you use excessive force to do that, it's not internal affairs that's going to review you. It's an actual board that reviews these types of police crimes that are done on people. And they are the governing body that are representative of the community that says, yo, nah, we know who this cop is. Because a lot of the things that transpire in our communities, we know exactly who that bad cop is. We know who these people are. So until these are things that affect me, economically, I have a small business, and I'm a Black-owned business. What, finances can you give to someone like me without having these crazy interest rates? If you want me to be a part of the economy, you want me to be a producer within the economy, then, allocate funds that are directly given to people like me. Not saying that just because I'm Black, I should get money, but what kind of qualifications, do I need in order to have access to these funds that could, tremendously, help my community, right? Student loans. It's a lot of people. We talk about the housing market, housing crisis. If you was to end student loans, people would be buying houses. People ain't buying houses with their parents because it's like, there's no way to get rid of $200,000 at an interest rate of 29%. You're not getting rid of that, bro. You're not $600 a month. Do you want your college loan should not cost you as much as your mortgage does in order for you to even make a dent on the interest. You know what I mean? Right. So if we're not talking about those topics in particular, which I haven't really heard a strong conversation about these things, I'm sorry, I can't necessarily say I want to be a part of the political process. Let's shift gears a little bit because you brought up something that's really, really important, and you brought up, Ice Cube. Do you agree with his attempt, to bringing the Black contract, to the Democrats as well as to the Republicans, and what do you feel about that?
This is what I feel. I love what he did. I love what he did, right? Because, and I'm even like, when he was asked, he even said something on the terms of like, I'm not playing these political games anymore. I am going to whoever is in power. I don't care who it is, right? And I'm coming with my facts. And what are you going to do for us?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and us being Black Americans, and I know he specifically said the ones that are descendants from slaves,
Right.
So it ain't about who the person is; it's about just that person's in power right now. So then he did reach out, or both parties did reach out to him, and it was, well, one of them said, "Come in now, let's talk about it," and the other one said, "Well, we'll talk after the election's over." Right? So, you know, for him, it's just like people are giving him a lot of backlash, and here's somebody that's trying to take action.
Right.
And he's even made it known that no, I don't support Trump. No, I don't support Biden. I don't care about any of that. I want to know whoever is going to be in power, right? What are you going to do for us?
Right.
Because that's my concern, you know? So I love it, man. It's just like you said, like, in order to get change, to make change, you got to go out and make it happen. We just can't keep sitting back in hopes of, and is this person going to do it for us? So no, you got somebody who has some power. He has a voice. Obviously, he's set financially. He's in that like 1%, right? So he can be like, all right, well, let's make this happen. This is what I think. You know, what do you think? And we can make you trying to make change. This is another way he's trying to make change, and I wouldn't give somebody backlash over that. Part of it is, right, in this whole thing, like, you're going to have conversations with the Trumpsters, the Trump type people. You have to, right? Those are the people in power. So you can't say because someone wants to go talk to them is the reason why he's a bad person. He's on their side. Like, if you look at any type of negotiations that are done through war times in like history, you talk to both sides.
Absolutely.
You talk to both sides. They send somebody in, you go talk to that side, you go talk to this side. At that moment, there's peace. We're going to talk. We're going to get the negotiations on the table, and then we move forward. Well, what's different? Like, you're mad, like, because he wanted to get his voice heard, right? Like, no, I'm all for what he did, man. I think that's an amazing. I can't even think of the word right now. It was just an amazing thing that he did to go and say, F all this. Like, no, nah, you're in power. What you gonna do? I need to hear and need to see it on paper. What you gonna do?
Right.
So, big shout out to Ice Cube, man.
Word up. Love what Cube did. And I love that he wasn't asking for anybody to jump on with him. He wasn't out here, you know, marketing it as if I need Diddy and I need this person, I need that person. You know, One of the things that I've always said, man, in this election, you know, is, you know, and it's going to allow for me to bring up a couple things, but one of the things that I felt was extremely important for us as a black people in this country was to come up with a 10-point agenda that any given candidate that was running for this office needed to seriously consider and needed to talk about what they were actually going to do to address these 10 things that are on this agenda for black people. It bothers me a lot to hear older black people make comments about what Ice Cube did and the fact that, you know, the timing of it and, you know, discouraging people from voting and these different things of that nature. And listen, man, you know, I'm 35. You know, my grandmom is 82, right? So you're looking at, you know, 37, 47 years of difference, right? And in that time, we've seen, you know, segregation, Jim Crow, we've seen mass incarceration, we've seen, you know, Planned Parenthood trying to abort us, we've seen, you know, the crack epidemic, we've seen a whole lot of things. And in between that time, every time an election occurs, we asking for the same exact things: jobs and equality, jobs and equality, jobs and equality. Now we sitting here in 2020, and we got an individual who organized an actual agenda for us. And it's not on a propaganda tour. He's not on some tour sitting on all these different networks talking about what he's trying to do. He actually went and did it. And see, this is the big problem that I have with us as a people is why can't we just get behind that? Why do we need to be the leader? Why do we need to be the person? Why can't we just say, you know what? I'm behind what he doing, bro. He out here for us.
Right.
You know, he out here not in a racist way. And this is one of the things that bothers me so much about, you know, us is and Americans. It's like, yo, it's cool to celebrate St. Patty's Day. Right? It's cool to celebrate Puerto Rican Day Parade. It's cool to do any other race that wants to celebrate themselves and big up themselves. It's always cool. But the moment that black people start talking about black, oh, you're eliminating us. It's reverse racism. You don't want us to be a part. It's like, no, we're always forgotten because we're always forced to assimilate as if we're a part of everybody else's race. But we're only a part of your race when you need us to be. No sooner as you don't need us anymore, oh, it's black. Nah, it's black people. You're quick to distinguish those things. And you know, it's very important that younger black people look at what Ice Cube did and say to themselves, you know what, I can do the same thing in my own community. I don't have to wait 4 years for another presidential candidate to come up with things that I feel are important for us as a people that I want to see changes. I want to see changes in our community, man. I want to see us have opportunities at certain things, and damn sure don't want to have to feel like every encounter that I come into with a police officer could be my last of my life.
Right.
I don't want somebody like a Daniel Cameron standing up there talking about how they reviewed this and reviewed that, and how Breonna Taylor's death wasn't necessarily negligent on their behalf. That's murder, bro. That's murder. Right. Simple and plain. Right. I don't care what position or political stance you have, bro. You call it what it is. You understand? And for me, it just is one of those things in this election year we've seen so much as a people. And one of the things that I find that people don't care nothing about is when they about to die, they don't care who about to save them. They just want somebody to save them. You know what I mean? It's nobody about to die who says, oh, I don't want that black nurse trying to save me. It's like, if that black nurse is there to save me, I want her to save me. You understand? Right. So we're in this position as a people, but more so as black people understanding the disparity that transpires amongst us, you know, and why is it that, you know, we don't get allocated funds the way we're supposed to. I hope that you didn't forget about Katrina, about how, you know, this dude waited weeks to give FEMA to these people who are on roofs, but you called them looters. You called those robbers and rapists and all of these different things, but you didn't provide any of the goods that are there for them so that they don't got to do that. You know, you call these people who have watched a man get murdered by a police officer for 8 minutes and 46 seconds and then burning a police station. You call those people radicals and all the negative things and epithets that you could possibly give to somebody. And that rhetoric is important because guess what? When the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they tore that city up. They didn't call nobody looters and robbers or any of that then. It was just the wild fans. You understand? Right. We see this discrepancy, but people don't want to act like they act like they don't want to talk about it. They act like they don't want to see it, right? And to see what Ice Cube did, let me know, man, that there is a division amongst us as black people as well. Because the real reality is we should have all been behind that. We should have all been behind that. I don't give a shit if he sat with Trump. I don't give a shit if he sat with Hitler. He's sitting with that man to have conversations about us. What are you doing? Right. That's my question.
Right.
You know?
Right. Right. And absolutely. And he even said too, like, at the end of the day, Black Americans don't own capital. And if we continue to head this way for the next 100 years, we ain't gonna be us no more.
Right.
That's it for us. You know what I mean? So that has to change.
We also gotta air out some clown shit, man. So, you know, we talked about it briefly a little bit about, you know, Lil Wayne. Right. And what Lil Wayne's decision was. And to be quite honest with you, I'm the same as you, bro. I didn't put a whole lot of time into researching what the hell he was doing. I just look at it as it's just terrible timing. You haven't said a goddamn thing about politics at all, but here it is 2 weeks before the election, and your punk ass is going to show up with Donald Trump and throwing the thumbs up. And listen, I don't really care about whether or not he's siding with Trump or not. That's the thing about America. You could like whoever you want to like, but when you tend to allow for people to use you, You understand? For their game, this man ain't never reach out to you, Lil Wayne. This man is hoping that your likelihood, what you look like, will be able to influence people who look like me to make a decision when it comes to early voting or on election day to not go for Joe Biden and to go for Donald Trump. Right?
Right.
My biggest issue with that is not that he had an affiliation with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump's a businessman, right? At the end of the day.
Right.
And you don't necessarily have to like everybody who you do business with. You just do business with them, right? But it's a responsibility of us to look at how many times are we going to be used as pawns for somebody else's gain, and then looked at later, you know what I'm saying, as a sellout and as somebody who is not for our people. You understand what I'm saying? And it's like, man, I see a bit of resurgence with him being featured on different artists, you know, as of late. He's you know, done his Apple Music thing where he's been, you know, interviewing different people, you know what I mean?
Right.
That side of things. And this just looks like some straight up clown shit, bro. And I love Lil Wayne as an artist. I love him as, you know, as a rapper. But this shit right here, this is clown shit right here. This is not what Ye was doing. This is not what Ye and Kardashian was doing. This is some clown shit right here. And I'm gonna call it out here.
Right. And I'm like you, like I didn't pay much of I didn't even really know until we briefly talked about it this morning. It's just like, and then when I look it up, this dude got like a preppy jacket on with a shirt tie with his arm around it. And it's like, what? Like, yeah. You don't speak for me, Lil Wayne. Sorry, bro. You don't speak for me, yo. Yeah. You know, so it's just like you said, man. Like Donald Trump is a businessman, and he's trying whatever he can do to sway that black vote. Yeah, let me go get Lil Wayne. He probably even called him Weezy.
Right.
Hey, Weezy.
The niggas like that. They'll change their vote once they see I'm aligned with him.
Right. Nah, yeah, clown
shit, man. So
wait, I'm gonna find out how to put a picture of a clown up here next time. Watch, clown.
Word it up, man. Word up. But so yo, it's funny, man. When I was down in Atlanta, you know, having the opportunity to get around and bounce around, right? One of the things that I started to notice, man, is like the fashion trends in basketball continuously are always changing, right? And it's funny to have played the game virtually my whole life and notice those different changes within me where fashion is concerned when it comes to hooping, right? So I'm gonna ask you this question, man, because I don't know, maybe you ain't pay attention to it or not, but it's like huge right now, man. But when did balling in sweats tucked in your socks become like the wave? Like that's the wave now, bro. That's the wave. I counted, bro. Out of 10 guys on the court who was going up and down, bro, 7 of them had sweat in their socks.
I have noticed it. I don't know why they do this. I don't know who said let's hoop this way. I don't know who said this is going to be the fashion. I know that I'm not doing it. I'm not tucking my sweats into my socks. I don't know if they feel like, well, I'm trying to stay warm, and me staying warm is have all this gear on, right? Got to have the sweats on, but I can't have them baggy, so I got to tuck them into my socks so I can go tween. Hit you with the tween, you know, and it's not hitting my sweats. Like, I don't know, bro. I know personally, I don't like it.
I'm not gonna hold you. You know, being here in Jersey, you know, sometimes you walk in the gym and it's freezing. And I'm not necessarily, you know, feel like balling in shorts or whatever. So I'm going to say I am guilty of that. However,
got it.
Yeah, no. I'm keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real because I'm almost certain that people gonna see on my IG or something like that. There'll be a training session or something like that where somebody sees that. So before people could be like, "Yo, he out here talking about this and that." What I'm saying to you is, I was doing it based upon my environment. It was 74 degrees in Atlanta. I ain't balling in no sweatpants when it's hot outside than it is in the gym itself, right? So
Right.
I just didn't understand it, and I was just like, yo, I'm looking at how many people was doing it, and I'm just like, I knew that NBA players would do that a lot to create the sweat, create the lather, right? You know, you get into a situation where, you know, you got your warm-up pants on, so to speak, right? And you want that because you want that extra heat to create that sweat so you can get, you know, good lather and get into your bag, right? But I don't understand where that comes from in 74, 80 degree weather. Why are you wearing sweats tucked into your socks? And when did this become a huge thing?
It definitely has happened over the last couple of years.
It's been big.
Definitely. I don't know, bro. Like, I just think, like, and then you know what it is. Once a fashion stick, it don't matter what the weather is. It's
Right.
like, oh yeah, I'm gonna wear them shorts today. I'm gonna wear them Johns. Yeah, I'm gonna wear them socks. Yeah, you know, like, I'm gonna tuck that in this way. I'm gonna wear that with this shoe. Like,
Right,
it's just became
right.
fashion. And probably somebody did it at the NBA level.
For sure.
Couple times, a couple of them, and now, you know, everybody else like, oh yeah, I like that, Joe. I'm gonna do that, and then it starts to catch on, and then it becomes a trend, and then it's the fashion that we're in.
Social media, man. Social media, because now
what it is.
All these dudes showing their workouts and stuff like that. I'm sure that's where I think it all kind of started and picked up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I just know it's not for me.
Right.
I don't, you know. If I do work out in some pants, like, I'm not tucking them into my sock. Like, you know, I'm not gonna have baggy pants on in the first place. You know, so
yeah, that's a fact.
You know, so
let me ask you this question though: did you ever wear ankle socks or no shows?
I'm sorry. This is just funny. This question is funny to me because, yo, man. Nah, I mean, I might have wore ankle socks. Nah, listen, like, for me, I'm not an ankle sock guy, not the hooping, right? I wear, you know,
quarter joint.
I guess the quarter joints, right?
Yeah.
In high school, I did the Kerry Kittles. I had the one high sock all the way up. You know what I mean? That was my thing in high school.
Word.
I've never really did the no shows. Hey yo, man. Listen, I got. It's funny though, cause I got a boy. I got a boy that be wearing the no shows, the hooping, right? And that's just his thing. You know, he likes wearing the no shows. But I just think it's funny, man. The no shows. For me, it's just a comfortability thing. Like, I know I can't be having my foot rub against. It's just not comfortable. Like, you could feel that when you cut and you're playing in the game and it's rubbing against your skin. Like, I don't like that feeling. I need that covered. I feel more comfortable with having the quarter joints on.
I'm not gonna hold you. If I see you pull up with some ankles and some no shows, you're not getting picked up on my team, and we go. I'm coming at you because you do not look like a ball player at all. That is like one of the signs that you're not a hooper. Is seeing you, especially in 2020, with some no shows.
Right.
You know.
Listen, yeah, man. Like, but look, there are some people that can hoop with some no shows, though.
It is. I mean, Thabo Sefolosha out here with Air Max 95s hooping in. So,
oh man,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
funny. No shows, got the no shows on, ready to hoop.
That's wild. What do you think the next trend is going to be then? Since the sweatpants, and what's the next trend?
Bro, I don't know. I know, like, these and I'm guilty of this, is, you know, everybody wearing these I call them Ninja Turtle headbands now, you know. You know, the Johns, they got the Nike Johns that they look like you a ninja.
Okay, I got you.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, they're starting to be really big and things like that, you know. And look, I fall victim to that. Like, I wear those. You know, I wore them this summer when we hooped. You know,
you asked me, fuck out of here with that shit. I don't want any of that shit.
Now, if you got your joints tucked into your socks and you got a headband on, I don't know, bro.
You're looking like a mannequin.
I don't know. You straight from the 2K store. I don't know.
I'll wear it up.
But I don't know, man. You know, with NBA, I mean, not NBA fashion, with basketball fashion, it's always changing. I
Yeah,
mean, it's changed from since we've been in high school, since we've been in college,
yeah,
it's just evolving, evolves with time. Fashion is fashion. So when that changes, it changes across the board and trends pick up, kids follow, like you said, especially now with social media. And I could click and just be like, if my favorite player is James Harden, and oh yeah, I'm gonna rock, I want to rock that like James.
right.
It's just how it is, man. I don't. So who knows what the next fashion is, but there will be one.
I'm sure.
There'll be one.
Sure. I got another one for you, man. We're gonna slide into this new segment we want to bring to y'all, man. So we saved it for the tail end of the pod because we feel like we're gonna be able to bring this to y'all weekly. And that's stories from the six, man. Stories from the six. So we from the 609 in Jersey, and we got different things that we want to talk about coming up in the six, man. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and talk about your story from the six.
Man, I mean, obviously it's where we're from, so there's plenty of stories. But I'm gonna start with one, and it's not like a particular story like that, but just um, big shout out to Coach Rob Anderson, man, who had a huge impact, especially being a younger basketball player of just impacted my life of understanding really what it takes and what it means to put hard work in, right? To work hard physically,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I remember being a young boy in the city, right, in Atlantic City, and I always played up. When I was younger, like 13, 12, 13, 14, like I always played with older guys. Like I was always on, if I was a 14, I always played on a 16-year-old team. You know what I mean? So around that time when that's when PAL was big and the PAL tournaments and PAL nationals, that was huge back then, right? That was kind of AAU before AAU for us, right? So I remember meeting Coach Rob or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna start having you come to workouts and stuff." So he used to come pick us up in vans and get the van from the city, scoop everybody up,
Right.
work out, drop everybody off. Um, so first workout, he's like, "You got to get a pair of combat boots," and I'm like, "Combat boots? Like, and we going to hoop? Like, I got sneakers. I don't even got combat boots. You know what I mean?" Now, my pops had some combat boots. you know, he had some combat boots. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna borrow his combat boots, still not knowing what we're doing, where we're headed. And we go to the beach. And he like, strap up, put the boots on. And I'm just like, what are we doing on the beach with some combat boots? Until we start running and I see why. Like it's hard. It's hard to run in the sand with some combat boots, to do agility type work in the sand with boots on. But you know, it was a moment where it was like one of them wow moments. Like wow, like there's so much more to this than that I even realized. It's more than going to the hoop. I mean, to the courts to work on layups and things like that. Like this dude's mindset to get physically in shape was kind of, like, I mean, he was military style. That's how Coach Rob was. But it definitely played a part and it aided me, man. But it was just like, yo, you want me to get some combat boots? Like, nah, bro, I got those, But from that, man, just learned what it meant to work hard because of him, and listen, bro, we did a lot with Coach Rob. Combat boots on the beach, combat boots. Let's go to Bader Field and run the stairs. Like, I don't know what his obsession with combat boots were. I got a couple blisters from them Jones too. Them Jones hard on your feet, hard on your feet. But that was again, shout out to Coach Rob and just giving me those experiences, man, as a young kid, and big shout out to him.
Word. Shout out to Coach Rob, man. It's my guy. Well, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna talk about Coach Knill. Man, you know, one of the things that I always have had a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Kenil, because he always dealt with kids. Like, he always gave up himself to work with kids. So, you know, we had same thing like you. We had PAL Center, you know what I mean, come up to the PAL Center. And I think this year we was getting ready to go play in Cincinnati. I think we was getting ready to go play in Cincinnati. And you know, National PAL, big thing, right? Big thing. And I believe the year before lost in the championship to Boston, right? So, you know how PAL was, you know what I mean? The National PAL joint. Boston was ill, Boynton Beach, Florida was ill, Hollywood, Florida was ill. So we would always run into them. That would be like what we gonna run into. Wasn't necessarily so much of the New York teams or Philly teams. It was always Boston or Florida team, right? So I'll never forget, yo. So we in practice, and you know, Coach Kenil got an infamous defense, bro. Everybody from around the way, if you play in the PAL, you play for Kenil, you know it's Red Dog, right? So we in there, we in practice, you know, and you know, we you know, we like, all right, we gonna split up, offense, defense. You know, my team, we on defense, and you know, he like, all right, we getting at him, Red Dog, boom. So, you know, in Red Dog, ain't no hesitation. You know what I'm saying? Hesitation. If you got a trap, you trapping. As soon as they put the ball in bounds, you trapping, right? And I never forget, yo, he was like, he go, the motherfuckers from Florida ain't gonna beat us this year with this shit. We got, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, yo, it was the first time I seen him hype for our crew, like our team. Like, it was like, we got something now. You know what I mean? With our core group. And that was, you know, that was when I was playing with Frankie and Derek Williams, Marcus Arrington, and Keith Feeney, and a bunch of dudes. Shout out to all them brothers too. You know, Frank's still playing, you know, overseas and everything. But, you know, Coach Kenil on that ride up to Cincinnati, man, we had a lot of conversation, just me and him. And part of that conversation was just about, like, you know, how far I could take it. You know, and he was one of those dudes who told me, like, yo, man, like, you know, if you can play hard over a sustained amount of time, not just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're talking about, yo, not just one game, multiple games of playing hard. You know, you put yourself in position to get, you know, a scholarship, and put yourself in position to, you know, really, you know, create that standout, you know, for yourself. You know, and this is a good opportunity to do that. You know what I mean? And, you know, just having those conversations with him, he was always like it was like a big brother, but you know, he was much older than you. You know what I mean? Right. But he always just kept it real with you. Like, you know, this shit ain't for you. You know what I mean? I remember you tell this ain't for you. You ain't got the heart, man. You know, right. These guys, you know, and it was just always one of those things that every time I see Coach Kenil, no matter what, always give him love, always show him, you know, the respect. Because, like I said, man, he was a grown man that took a lot of time with kids, and a lot of kids who didn't have opportunities. You know, he gave them opportunities to get out the hood, play basketball, give you a platform of exposure, but also see the world. You know what I mean? See what's going on out here, and, you know, recognize some of those things. But, you know, it's so funny when he's like, man, them gold tooth motherfuckers ain't gonna be ready for us, bro. We ain't gonna be ready for it. You know, even now and today, you know, as I sit here and I talk about it, I just remember it, I reflect on it, and I think how many times me and you have played together, and then it's time, it's like, yo, we Red Dogging. And it's like everybody know what time it is. Everybody know what time it is. Red Dog. So that's, you know, that's my story, man. Before we get out of here, man, I also wanted to talk about some of our music picks. Anything you listening to currently that people should put their ear out for, man. Don't matter what it is.
I know me. I've been listening to 2 albums lately, man, just on repeat. Actually 3. 2 are new. We've talked about it. I think we talked about it the other day. Benny the Butcher's album, Burden of Proof.
Mm-hmm.
Dope album from number 1 to number 12.
Yeah.
Dope album, man. Straight through. it gives you that I hate to say old school, but I guess that's what we're referred to now, right? Like
Yeah,
that
no doubt, no doubt.
that vibe that we like to listen to,
He
it has
definitely
that
had
New York.
a type of vibe on this album for sure.
Right, right. I mean, we even talked about the skits that he has on his
Yeah, sure.
album. It gives you that old school, like the skits used to be part of the album. Like, yo, that
Yeah.
skit was crazy, like. So big shout out to Benny, man. That album is fire, and Big Sean's album,
Okay. Detroit too.
Big
Okay.
Detroit too, is fire too, man. And I know I'm a big fan of Big Sean, and
He got a
that
lot.
album is also,
He got a
huh?
lot of gems in there. That's one of those
Oh,
albums that you can't just listen to once or skim through. You gotta sit with
right,
that because he dropped
right,
a lot
right.
of gems in there.
And that's facts. That's big facts. There are a lot of gems in there, and a lot of he talks about things that he's been through, and
For sure.
dope 2 albums, man. So shout out Big Sean, shout out Benny the Butcher, man. And but recently, man, and you know me for the guy with the CD book, and we
Oh, yeah.
taking trips, and I got everybody's CD. Oh well, if it ain't in that CD book, go get the other CD book because it's in that one. You know what I mean? And but I've gone back, man. I really been in this Jay-Z vibe lately, where I listened to a lot of his older albums, man. Just Reasonable Doubt. Really been on Reasonable Doubt heavy last couple days. Listening to the Blueprint. Um, just been in a Jay-Z vibe, man. Just it brings back memories, but it's also like anything that you do when you go back, you just pick up on things that you just didn't listen to before, and it's just like it might, resonate right then and now to what you're going through in life. So, shout out my boy Hov, man.
That's a fact. I'm gonna go with two offbeat albums. For me, and when I say offbeat, I say that because I don't hear nobody talking about them. Yesterday, I really sat down and listened to Busta Rhymes' new album. So his new album just dropped.
Okay.
On my flight to Atlanta, man, I was listening to this dude, and you want to talk about gems? You gotta go and listen to Black Thought album. That album is
Okay.
super hard.
Okay.
Super hard. But as far as recurring albums, I'm gonna keep it real with you. The 3 albums that I've really been listening to like all the time has been Freddie Gibbs' Alfredo,
that's tough too.
Conway the Machine, From a King to a God, and Westside Guns, Pray for Paris. Those 3 albums are constantly in heavy repeat. Benny's featured on both of those albums. Freddie Gibbs is featured on both of those albums too. And it's just, I'm a lyrics dude. I like different talk, even though I might not be in the drug game. I like the drug game talk. I like that. You know what I mean? I like the 90s flow. I like the feel.
Right.
I love Westside Gunn's ability for production and how he stay out the way and he let other artists shine, gives them an opportunity to do they want to on tracks. And he has a very I don't want to say unorthodox because we kind of heard it before, but I hate comparing him to certain artists because he's still different. But he has that ODB Raekwon type of vibe. You know what I mean? Where it's gonna be abstract, it's gonna be a little different, but it's still gonna be hard at the same time. You're still going to feel something. Freddie Gibbs, man. I mean, him back to back with the Obrigado album with Madlib and the Alfredo album with Alchemist. He's in the zone right now. He's locked in. I think that people should make sure that they go back and take a listen to those 2 albums for Freddie Gibbs because he bar people heads off too. He definitely. Has, what's it called? The way he does his skits and things of that nature is going to give you that Foxy Brown, that that Black Dynamite, that Dolomite type of, you know what I mean, that Huggy Bear type of 70s pimpish vibe. You feel me? In his skits and stuff. So yeah, just good music, man. This year, amid the pandemic, man, it's been real good hip hop that's come out. Some R&B that's come out as well, but we're gonna stick to the hip hop right now. And it's a lot of artists out now. We are in fourth quarter, so you should expect coming before the year is out. Maybe a J. Cole, maybe a Drake, maybe a Kendrick. You know, Kendrick. Wow, you know what I'm saying? We were Cole for a while too, so maybe they might bless us, over Christmas with something dope. But we keep our ears out.
Matter of fact, he got a joint with Busta on his album, don't he?
Yeah.
That joint tough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. So that's basically it, man. It's a real good pod, man. We was able to get through everything. Feel like we got a lot of information, you know what I'm saying, giving out to the people and whatnot. So excited, man. Excited.
Absolutely, man. As we continue to grow, we definitely do appreciate all the feedback that we have gotten from everybody, the support, the love. Again, we just trying to give knowledge to the people. Anybody that's in the hoop culture, we're just trying to give you gems to help aid you, assist, anything that we could do to help push the culture forward. That's what we're here for. We definitely eat, sleep, and breathe this.
That's a fact.
Ball's life.
That's a fact. So this should drop on Wednesday, nah?
Yeah.
So make sure y'all on the lookout for that. Wednesdays, bro. Wednesdays,
we will be dropping episodes from now on Wednesdays. And that's it, man. And you know what I stand for. As always, inspire the next person to be great at whatever they choose to do.
Word. Peace. Next time, we'll see y'all. Peace.
We want to welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. Excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go.
I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Oh, man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.